You ever notice how people always need proof before they believe? They pray for signs, for miracles, for something that tells them it's real. But when it finally happens, they call it coincidence. Funny, isn't it? We live in a world drowning in evidence, yet starving for truth. Everyone's too busy pretending they're in control, too scared to admit something. Bigger might actually be pulling the strings. Maybe this, right here, isn't just another moment. Maybe it's the footage they've been waiting for. The one that proves it's all finally happening. Proof isn't always what you want. It's what you fear. People love to talk about proof, don't they? They say, "Show me the evidence, then I'll believe." But when the truth finally crawls out of the shadows, they flinch. They look away, because deep down they never wanted proof. They wanted comfort. Proof ruins comfort. Proof doesn't care about your hopes, your plans, your safe little world. It kicks the walls down and laughs while you scramble to rebuild what's left of your lies. You see, everyone thinks they're ready for truth until it stares them in the eye. Then suddenly, it's too much. They call it fake. Coincidence manipulation. Anything but what it really is. Because if they admit it's real, that means their whole story collapses. Their meaning, their control, their faith in the system. It all starts to rot. And they can't handle that. So they hide behind doubt like it's armor. They'll say, "It can't be true," while their heart screams, "It already is." That's the joke. Proof doesn't need your permission to exist. The world has a strange way of giving you signs when you least expect them. You lose something, someone betrays you, everything falls apart. And in that chaos, there it is. Proof. Not glowing in the sky or written on stone, but sitting quietly in the wreckage of what you thought life was. Most people miss it because they're too busy blaming fate. They don't realize the truth never whispers. It screams through the cracks of your reality. But people don't listen. They only hear what helps them sleep at night. They say they want proof of purpose, of destiny, of something divine watching over them. But if they really saw it, if they really understood that everything, every win, every loss, every cut, is part of a design beyond their control, they'd lose their minds. Because proof takes away choice. It takes away excuses. You can't pretend anymore when you've seen behind the curtain. You can't keep saying, "Someday," when the truth is staring you down saying, "No." That's why people fear proof more than lies. Lies are safe. Lies let you keep your story straight. You ever wonder why the world keeps breaking people just to wake them up? Because no one learns when life is easy. Proof doesn't show up in comfort. It shows up in chaos. It arrives when everything you trusted crumbles. When the mask you've been wearing starts to crack. When silence feels heavier than noise. That's when it speaks. But not everyone listens. Some run. Some numb themselves. Some laugh it off. The brave ones, though the rare few, they stare right back. They don't ask, "Why me?" They say, "Show me." And when they see, it changes everything. There's a cost to knowing. Proof doesn't come free. It burns illusions. It kills fantasies. It leaves you naked in the truth. That's why so few people want it. They say they do, but what they really want is reassurance. They want someone to tell them they're right, that they're chosen, that life's fair. But proof isn't kind. Proof doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't knock. It breaks in. It doesn't comfort. It exposes. It turns maybe into who it is. And once that happens, you can't go back to sleep. People walk around with eyes open, but minds closed. They scroll, they consume. They believe whatever fits the version of reality they can survive. They see proof every day, in corruption, in decay, in moments that feel too perfect to be random, but they pretend it's normal. They laugh at those who see deeper, because laughing is easier than admitting they're blind. Proof doesn't hide. People do. It's right there in front of them, whispering, "Look closer." But they'd rather keep their heads down and call it coincidence. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The world doesn't force anyone to believe. It just keeps showing, over and over again, until you finally can't deny it anymore. Proof isn't about seeing. It's about accepting. And acceptance is terrifying. It means giving up the illusion that you're in charge, that life owes you clarity, that you can control what's coming next. Proof strips that away. It leaves you staring into the mirror, realizing that what you feared most was never the truth itself. It was what the truth would make you become. Reality doesn't ask for your belief. It doesn't wait for you to catch up or give you time to prepare. It simply is. Cold, raw, and indifferent. People like to think they can shape it, twist it, make it fit their stories. But that's the grand illusion. Everyone's out there, building fantasies, trying to paint over the cracks, pretending the world is something it's not. But reality doesn't care about your imagination. It doesn't bend to your will. It just watches, waiting for the moment your pretty little dream collapses under its weight. People crave comfort more than truth. That's why they build their own versions of reality. They call it hope, faith, positivity. But deep down, it's fear wearing a smile. They can't face what's real, so they dress it up, polish it, give it meaning. They say, everything happens for a reason. Because it's easier than admitting some things just happen. They say, it'll all work out. Because it's unbearable to think maybe it won't. That's the problem. People keep trying to bargain with reality, as if it's listening. But reality doesn't bargain. It just delivers. You can deny it, you can ignore it, you can scream at it, but it won't change. It doesn't flinch when you cry. It doesn't pause when you break. It keeps moving, step by step, like time itself. That's what makes it powerful and terrifying. Because no matter how many lies you tell yourself, no matter how much you pretend, it always wins. You can wear masks, build empires, hide behind noise and success, but reality always finds a way to whisper in your ear, reminding you what's real and what's not. The funniest part. Everyone thinks they understand reality. They think it's what they see, what they touch, what they can measure. But that's just the surface. Reality isn't the light. It's the shadow behind it. It's not the smile. It's the reason behind the smile. It's not what's shown. It's what's hidden when no one's watching. And most people don't want to go that deep, because once you do, there's no going back. Once you see the cracks, you can't unsee them. Once you taste the truth, the lies lose their flavor. People love illusions because they're easy. Reality demands honesty, and honesty hurts. It strips away the stories you tell to survive. It shows you the world without filters, without mercy, without excuses. It shows you that fairness is a myth, justice is selective, and happiness is temporary. And yet, within that harshness, there's a strange kind of beauty. Because when you stop running from reality, you start to understand it. You start to see how chaos has order, how pain has purpose, how destruction makes room for creation. But most people don't reach that point. They stay trapped in the performance. They pretend everything's fine while everything inside them burns. They smile for the camera, not in meetings. Post about gratitude while drowning in doubt, because facing reality means facing themselves. And that's the one thing they can't do. They can handle failure, loss, even betrayal, but not the mirror. Not the realization that maybe the enemy isn't the world, but the story they keep telling about it. You can't change reality by believing harder. Belief isn't a weapon, it's a veil. It gives you comfort, but it also blinds you. That's why people chase signs, pray for miracles, wait for destiny. They want proof that their version of reality matters. But reality doesn't pick sides. It doesn't reward the good or punish the wicked. It just unfolds. It's the same storm for everyone, only the shelters differ. And some people would rather stay out in the rain than admit their roof was built on lies. It's strange, isn't it, how people fight over what's real. Religion, politics, love. Everyone claiming they've got the truth. But truth doesn't need defenders. It doesn't care who believes it. It doesn't disappear when you ignore it. You can deny gravity all you want, but you'll still fall. You can say time doesn't exist, but it keeps moving anyway. That's the essence of reality. It doesn't depend on you. It's not fragile, not emotional, not negotiable. It just is. And somewhere deep down, everyone knows this. They feel it when the world goes silent, when the noise fades, when the lights turn off, and they're alone with their thoughts. That's when reality speaks the loudest, not with words, but with presence. You can't hide from it. You can't lie to it. You can only face it. And when you finally do, when the illusions fade and the masks drop, you realize that reality never asked for your belief. It only asked for your attention. Control is the biggest illusion we worship. Everyone wants to believe they're the master of their own story, the writer of their own script, the one holding the strings. They plan, they schedule, they chase, they build, thinking they're in charge of the outcome. But deep down, there's a whisper they try to ignore. The one that says, maybe they never had control at all. Maybe they're just passengers pretending to drive. That's the real joke. The world lets you feel powerful just long enough to forget how small you really are. Look around. Everyone's trying to manage something. Their future, their money, their image, their emotions. They cling to this idea that if they just think right, act right, plan right, they can keep life in line. But life doesn't follow orders. It doesn't care about your control charts or your 5-year plans. You can eat healthy, stay safe, do everything right, and still watch it all burn. Because control is the mask people wear to hide from chaos. It's a story they tell themselves so they can sleep at night. People love the illusion of control because it gives them identity. It makes them feel important, necessary, alive. The businessman thinks he controls the market. The lover thinks they control the relationship. The politician thinks they control the people. But the market crashes. The love fades, the crowd turns, and suddenly they realize the control they worshipped was made of smoke. That's when panic sets in. When you realize all the effort, all the planning, all the pretending didn't matter. The world moves how it wants, when it wants, and you're just a piece caught in its motion. The funny part is, people can't live without the illusion. They need it. If they let it go, they'd have to face the truth. That life is unpredictable, fragile, untamed. And humans don't like that. They want cause and effect, order and reward. They want to believe that good behavior brings good results. But sometimes good people lose, bad people rise, and chaos gets the last laugh. That's when they start praying to luck, to fate, to gods they never believed in. Because deep down, they know control was never theirs to begin with. You can see it in their faces when something unexpected happens. The moment their plans collapse, their eyes go wide, searching for someone to blame. The system, the universe, fate, anything but themselves. Because admitting they never had control means admitting they've been living a lie. It's not easy to swallow that everything you built could fall apart without warning. That the strings you thought you were pulling were never connected to anything real. But that's the truth no one wants to face. Control isn't power, it's comfort. It's the illusion that keeps people from falling apart. They check their schedules, their savings, their likes and followers, as if those things can keep the chaos away. But chaos doesn't knock. It doesn't send a warning. It just walks in and rearranges everything. The ones who survive aren't the ones who control the most. They're the ones who adapt the fastest. The ones who stop fighting the storm and learn to dance in it. But most people keep building walls, thinking they can stop the rain, not realizing the flood's already inside. It's strange how people mistake control for strength. They think being in control means they're winning. But real strength isn't about control. It's about acceptance. The kind of acceptance that doesn't mean giving up, but seeing clearly. Knowing that you can guide your actions, but not the outcome. Knowing that you can prepare, but never predict. That's what scares people. The idea that they're responsible for effort, not results. Because results give them validation, and without control, that validation slips away. They spend their whole lives chasing control. Yet the moments they remember most are the ones they never planned. The random encounter that changed everything. The accident that became destiny. The mistake that led to meaning. Life hides its beauty in the cracks of chaos. But you can't see it while gripping too tight. Control blinds you. It makes you miss the magic in the mess. Because when you're obsessed with controlling everything, you stop experiencing anything. And still, they keep trying. Because surrender feels like weakness, and humans can't stand feeling powerless. They build systems, religions, governments, all trying to cage the uncontrollable. But no matter how many rules they write, the wild always breaks through. That's the truth people keep running from. Control is the prettiest lie ever told. It gives you a sense of safety while the ground shifts beneath you. It tells you that you're the driver, when really, you're just another passenger on a ride that never asked where you wanted to go. Signs don't lie. People do. The world speaks, always has, always will. It whispers through coincidences, through timing, through the way everything seems to line up when you're paying attention. But people, they're too busy pretending not to hear it. They look straight at the truth and call it luck. They see patterns and call them accidents. Because signs are honest, brutally honest, and people can't handle honesty unless it fits their story. So they twist it, deny it, disguise it until it feels safe again. That's how they keep their little illusions alive. The universe doesn't stutter. It doesn't hide what it's trying to show you. It leaves clues everywhere. Through the people you meet, the things that fall apart, the moments that stop you cold. But the moment a sign threatens someone's comfort, they call it coincidence. Because if it's real, if it actually means something, then they'd have to change. They'd have to admit they've been ignoring what's been in front of them all along. And change. That's what people fear more than anything. Signs don't come with flashing lights or a voice from the sky. They're quiet, subtle. A feeling you can't explain, a moment that repeats until you finally notice. A pattern that follows you until you stop running. But people like things that can be measured. They want proof, not presence. They say, "I'll believe it when I see it," while seeing it every day and pretending they don't. Because once you start believing, you can't go back to ignorance. Once you admit the world is speaking to you, you can't unhear it. People lie to themselves because the truth behind the signs is too heavy. They say it's all random because random is easier to live with than reason. If it's random, you're not responsible. If it's a sign, then maybe life expects something from you. Maybe it's pushing you somewhere you don't want to go. And that's terrifying, because people like to believe they're in control. A sign threatens that control. It tells them they're being guided, not guiding. That someone, or something, might be writing the story alongside them. You can see it in their eyes when something uncanny happens. They laugh it off, change the subject, hide behind logic. But logic can't explain why some things feel too perfect to be chance. Why pain comes just before growth. Why you keep running into the same faces, the same lessons, until you finally learn. Signs don't lie, they repeat. They don't beg for belief, they wait for awareness. But people, they build walls of noise, so they never have to hear the message hidden beneath the chaos. They call it superstition. They call it paranoia. Anything to make the truth sound crazy. Because if they admit the signs are real, they'd have to question everything. Every choice, every coincidence, every convenient lie. They'd have to stop pretending they're blind. The truth is, people don't need more signs. They just need the courage to face the ones already there. But courage is rare. It's easier to call it all meaningless than to admit it all means something. You ever notice how the signs always come right before something breaks or something begins? They show up like whispers from the edge, little warnings, little nudges. You can ignore them, sure, but ignoring doesn't erase them. It just delays what's already coming. That's the trick people never learn. Denial doesn't change direction. It just blinds you to it. The signs don't punish you for ignoring them. They simply stop waiting for you to understand. People talk about fate like it's fiction. But fate isn't a fairy tale. It's a pattern. It's the repetition of signs until you finally pay attention. The missed calls, the failed attempts, the déjà vu moments. They're all part of a conversation you don't want to admit you're having. The world doesn't use words, it uses events. And if you keep lying to yourself, it keeps turning up the volume until you can't ignore it anymore. But most people would rather be deaf than aware. Awareness comes with accountability. You can't claim confusion when the truth is clear. You can't keep pretending you didn't know. That's why people lie. To others, to themselves, to anything that threatens the fragile comfort of their ignorance. They lie so they can keep walking blindfolded, so they never have to confront the idea that life's been trying to talk to them all along. Signs don't lie. They don't twist the story. They don't shift the blame. They simply exist. Pure, direct, undeniable. It's the people who cover them in layers of excuses, who repaint them with fear, who look at truth and call it chance. Because it's easier to lie than to listen. It's easier to pretend the world's silent than to face the sound of something greater, whispering your name in every coincidence you try so hard to ignore. Truth hides in plain sight, waiting for courage. It's never really gone, never really lost. It's right there, in the open. Standing quietly while everyone walks past it, pretending not to see. People act like truth is some hidden treasure buried deep beneath layers of mystery. But it's not hidden. It's exposed. The problem isn't that it's hard to find, it's that no one really wants to. Because truth isn't convenient. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't comfort you. It doesn't play nice. It just stares at you, daring you to stop lying. People say they want the truth, but what they really want is confirmation. They want something that fits their version of the world. If the truth agrees with them, they call it wisdom. If it doesn't, they call it madness. That's how fragile belief really is. Truth doesn't care about your side, your feelings, your ego. It just is. But people are addicted to illusion. They wear masks, build stories, and call it identity. and the truth. It's sitting in the corner, laughing, watching them perform. It's funny how everyone thinks truth is this bright light, something pure and clean. But real truth isn't light, it's fire. It burns. It exposes what you don't want to see. It makes you confront yourself, your hypocrisy, your weakness. That's why people avoid it. They'd rather live in shadows where everything feels manageable, where lies can still be painted as hope. But when that fire touches you, when truth finally reaches you, it doesn't ask permission. It consumes the falsehood until all that's left is what's real. You ever notice how people can recognize truth in others but not in themselves? They can see someone else's mistakes from miles away, but when it comes to their own, they turn blind. Because truth isn't a matter of seeing, it's a matter of facing. And facing it requires courage. The kind of courage that doesn't come from strength, but from surrender. From admitting that maybe you've been wrong. Maybe you've been pretending. Maybe you've been running from what's been chasing you all along. The world hides nothing. It shows you everything you need to know. You just refuse to accept it. You can see it in relationships built on denial, in systems built on lies, in people who smile while breaking inside. The signs are always there. The truth is always visible. But people are trained to look away. They're taught to believe what's comfortable instead of what's real. Schools teach facts, not understanding. Religion teaches faith, not curiosity. Society teaches obedience, not awareness. It's a perfect design for blindness. But every lie has an expiration date. You can only pretend for so long before truth starts knocking. Sometimes softly, sometimes violently. It comes through pain, through loss, through that feeling that something isn't right no matter how much you smile. That's truth trying to break through the noise. But instead of listening, people drown it with distractions. Music, money, entertainment, validation. They'll do anything to silence the voice that says, "Look closer." Because once you do, you can't unsee what's real. The thing about truth is that it doesn't need to shout. It just waits, patiently. While you run in circles, chasing lies that feel good but go nowhere. It waits while you build your false life, your false self, your false peace. And when you finally stop running, when everything falls apart, when the noise dies, it's still there. Unchanged, unbothered, waiting for you to have the courage to look. That's when you realize it was never hiding. You were. People think courage is about fighting the world, but the hardest battle is with yourself. To strip away the layers, the excuses, the stories. To see what's underneath and not turn away. That's why truth feels cruel. It doesn't play along. It doesn't care about your version. It doesn't compromise. It's a mirror that shows you everything you wish it didn't. And most people can't handle that reflection. They'd rather break the mirror than face the image staring back. You can't find truth in noise. You find it in silence. In the moments when everything stops and you finally hear your own thoughts without the filter of fear. That's where truth lives. In the quiet corners of your mind, in the spaces you avoid. But silence scares people, because in silence, lies start to crumble, and what's left is raw, uncomfortable, real. And real is dangerous, because once you know it, you can't pretend anymore. The world doesn't hide truth. It hides from it. Because truth doesn't fit into the roles people play, the systems they follow, the masks they wear. It's too wild for control, too honest for comfort. But it's always there, right in front of you, woven into every choice, every mistake, every moment that feels too sharp to ignore. Truth doesn't need to be found. It just needs to be faced. And only those with courage ever truly see it.